You can ask my husband about my dancing. I literally see you guys up on stage dancing, the ones that got up here, and I have to be honest, if it was like you have to be faced with like a firing squad and death, certain death, or get up on stage and dance, it would be a toss-up for me. Like, it would definitely be a toss-up, and I would have to work long and hard. So thank y'all so much for having me today. Thank you for being here. And honestly, I just want to tell you how proud I am of each and every one of you for being here, because you are sacrificing time away from your family and from your normal life and your regular life. And I really respect your thirst for knowledge and your desire to become the best version of yourself. And that's really what all of this is about. And so I'm really, really proud of you, every single one of you. Is there a time? There's a timer. Good. I was so worried that I was gonna like get a little too chatty, So, okay, let's get started. Social media it's a funny thing, and let me tell you what I never thought I would do. I never thought I would be training or talking about social media ever. About 2.5 years ago, we had a regional sales manager, and she called me one day, and I was like in the carpool pickup line with my kids, and she's like talking to me about my business, and I was like, listen, Erica, I'm never gonna be a social media person. I'm never gonna be that person. I'm never gonna have a social media presence at all. And about that time, I had about 5,000 Instagram followers, and I just did not think that I would ever do social media, be on social media, have a presence at all. And then all of a sudden, God was like, that's hilarious, like that you're calling the shots, or you think you are, because then everything changed. And my friend Brittany Rose taught me how to do a reel. And I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. Like, oh, okay, this is like not as hard as I thought. And then very rapidly just started to kind of like catch on, and then it became more of a challenge for me. And so I grew my Instagram following by 150,000 followers, like right after that. And so it was just, and it's been gradual. I remember the day I hit 10,000, and that was like still like the swipe up function. Do y'all remember that in the stories? Like if you had 10,000 followers, it was such a big deal. And then like right after that, they just gave that to everybody, and I was like, cool, okay, awesome, yeah. But then it was just like all these little things. And then I remember getting to 13,000 followers, and then I got hacked and I lost my Instagram account. And so it was like, all these things happened in the process that has taught me and that I've grown from. So I really am excited to talk to you about this and to walk you through this. But here's what I want you to know. Like, you can look at my Instagram following and you can think it's big, you can think it's small, because comparatively it's very small compared to like, I see people with millions of followers. I'm like a drop in the bucket compared to that, right? I actually care way less about the number of followers that you have. I know everybody wants to be like Insta famous and like it's so cool, but what I really care about way more is your impact, because that's what really at the end of the day matters so much more, is your impact. So like the following is cool, but you can buy that. You can buy the following. Don't get so caught up on that, because when you focus on the impact, actually the following naturally grows behind that. And so it's pretty amazing. Okay, I want to tell you a story. Let's see if I can figure this thing out. Okay. Well, I thought I had notes, but we're just gonna wing it today. So, hey God, yeah, give me the words. Okay, I want to tell you guys a story. So there was these two groups of people, and they were at war with each other. So there was like this impending battle that was going to happen. And there was like these two hills, right? So here's a hill, and a group of people's on the hill, and then there's like a valley, and then there's another hill, and there's another group of people on this hill over here. So they could like talk to each other. This is thousands of years ago. There wasn't like cell phones or technology. Okay, so they could like yell at each other. So over here, this group was called the Philistines, and they had a giant, like an actual literal giant, and he was 9 feet tall, and he had like all of like this custom made, what's it called, armor, like all the armor. And it was like, he was really intimidating, and he was really big, and he would get on the top of his hill, right? And he would yell at them over on their hill, and he would be like, hey, send over your best guy, send over your best dude, and if he defeats me, we will be your slaves. We will be your servants. But if you defeat us, if we defeat you, you have to be our servants. This just cut out. Okay, man. Then if we defeat you, you'll be our servant. You defeat us, we'll be your servants, right? Okay, so this is the Philistines, and they're like, yeah, good luck defeating our big giant guy, right? And then there's the Israelites, this other group, and they're on the other hill, and they're like shaking in their boots, and they're like, there's no way we will ever defend this guy. We don't have a giant, and we don't have anything to defend this guy, or to defeat this man. So what are we gonna do? We have no chance. Okay, so then this little kid comes up, right? Like, he was like probably 14-ish. So I know there's like some people in here with some teenage boys. I'm not sure how you feel about your 14-year-old son going up against a giant that's 9 feet tall and, maybe like custom armor and all that. I probably wouldn't feel like super comfortable with it. I don't have a 14-year-old son, but if I did, I probably wouldn't, mine are younger than that, but I wouldn't feel real comfortable sending him into that. But he walks up. He's not a soldier. He's not part of the battle, right? But he walks up and he goes, hey, he had some brothers, so he's like delivering food. So he's like, hey, I think I can defeat that guy. And everybody's like, awesome. We don't think you can defeat that guy, but you're the only one volunteering to do it, so sure, go for it, right? So this King Saul says, okay, I really want to set you up for success here. So I am going to put my best armor on you. This is my armor. It's the best of the best. I'm a king. You can't get better armor than this, right? But it was custom made for Saul. So Saul puts his armor on David, and David's like a 14-year-old kid, and he's like, well, this isn't going to work. It's heavy. He's not used to doing this. I got to tell you what David's been doing. David is a shepherd. He's a shepherd boy. So he's been shepherding a flock and writing poetry. That's what David's been up to. So now he's going to go fight a giant, but that's what he's been doing this whole time leading up to this, right? And so he's like, I can't do this. I haven't trained in this thing. So he says, take it all off. I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to do it my way, okay? So he goes and he finds 5 stones, sticks it in his little fanny pack, and he goes out, and we know the story, right? David and Goliath. He slings and he shoots, and the first rock hits Goliath in the head. He falls down, he dies. They chop his head off to be sure, all the warrior stuff that they do, and then he's dead. And so it's so great, right? Okay, so what I really want you to know is the point that I'm getting to here is that David could not show up as Saul. David couldn't show up in somebody else's armor to fight this battle, right? David showed up in his true identity. His identity. He showed up in who God created him to be. Why am I crying? Why am I emotional right now? I don't even know. I say this to you because I want you to think about the giant in your life that's intimidating you. And is that your Monet business? Is that social media? I don't know. I'm gonna pull it together. I'm gonna pull it together and stop crying. I don't know why I'm emotional about. Oh, thank you, Susie, my soul sister. Yes, but I don't know what your giant is, right? But we all have one. I mean, I still have one. We all have one or many giants in our life. Stop trying to put on somebody else's armor to fight your battle. It's never going to work. It's actually never going to work until you show up in your true identity as who you were created to be. Okay? Okay, so let's move forward. I found this stock photo of a homely girl on the internet. I'm just kidding, that's me. And I'm really embarrassed that I put this, it felt good at the time when I was making these slides last week. It felt really good to put this in there, and now I'm regretting that decision. That homely girl was me just before I joined Monate. And it's so interesting because, like, I remember her, but I feel like I'm so different than her now. But what I really want to bring home about this, you probably have some photos of yourself, right, before the Monate beauty bug got you. You are powerfully positioned to help the person you once were. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time by my friend Rory Vaden. And it's like, oh my gosh, you are so powerfully positioned to help. I am powerfully positioned to help that girl who was insecure, who was wearing other people's armor every day in every different situation because I didn't know who I was, what I was. I didn't have my true identity. I didn't know what to do. So every day when I really in every area of my life, but especially on social media, because that's the topic today, this is who I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help that girl that still has questions about different things and is just trying to kind of figure life out. So there's 3 questions that you can ask yourself. There's a 3 behind that black box. Three things that you can apply to your social media. And this has really, really helped me. I'm not talking about pillars. Google pillars, look up pillars. Pillars, everybody talks about pillars, okay? That's not what this is about today. What I want you to do is I want you to present your information in a way. I just want you to keep these 3 things in mind. What do you know? I'm going to give you some questions here in a minute that kind of helps you identify what are the things that you are bringing to the table. Not somebody else's armor. What is your armor? What is your identity? What do you know that you can teach other people? Everybody comes to social media to get educated, entertained, or inspired. That's it. Like, that's what they do. Everybody knows that. Think about the reasons you go to social media. That's what they're going for. And so you have to fill that. So, like, listen, as much as I love, like, seeing pictures of your kids and stuff like that, like, if it's not falling within one of those buckets, I'm not saying don't post about your kids, but I'm saying do it in a way that you make it educational, entertaining, or inspiring, right? You have to create it to be one of those things because that's what attracts people to your social media. Okay, a great way, you know how we do 3-way calls for money? Like, I don't know if anybody does them, but they're really, really powerful. Do this, but in social media form. So I just interviewed a doctor on my Instagram the other day because right now I'm like super into blood sugar. If you want to geek out and talk about like blood glucose monitors, like totally I'll do that with you after this. I mean, like, I'm like all in, you know, it's so great. So like I said, my friend Ben, I was like, Ben, you're a functional medicine doctor, you know, you've taught me so much. Let me interview you because I want to teach all my friends about this thing that I'm learning about. So I'm like taking you on the journey with me. I'm learning from Ben. You're learning from Ben. You might not have access or even want to go live and interview somebody on your page. That's fine. Don't worry. You don't have to do that. But an easy way to do this is you can cite somebody. You can reference somebody and say, I learned this amazing thing from fill in the blank, right? So like if it's a book that you just read and it was really, really powerful and it had some really great points in it or whatever, and you want to go on and you want to make a reel and educate and inspire people with the knowledge that you just gained from a book, talk about the book, talk about the author, give third-party credibility to somebody else, and you automatically gain more credibility yourself, okay? So what do you know? Who do you know? And don't forget, there's that homely girl again. You know, who are you serving? Every single time you post, who is it that you're trying to reach? Your uniqueness is your superpower. And this is the truth. And I was just talking to Katie Weaver about it this morning, and she gave the greatest example, and I won't take it because she might use it in her speech later, but here's the truth. Everybody's trying to be one of those blue people. Everybody. Everybody's trying to be a blue guy. Like, oh, what are the Kardashians doing? Okay, I'm gonna do my makeup like them. I'm gonna, like whatever. I mean, y'all might like or dislike the Kardashians. I don't know, but it's like everybody's trying to copy everybody else, right? I'll tell you what I am actually very attracted to is anything that is unique and different. And maybe if it's just because Monat has elevated my mindset so much, like this journey of Monat has elevated me so much, but I actually buck trends. Like, if everybody's jumping on the bandwagon for something, I'm like, no thanks. And it takes me forever. And then I'll like eventually try it. I'm like, oh, they liked it for a reason, so cool. But like, I'll get on, but it takes me a while because what I'm actually really attracted to is things that are unique and different. That's what people really love. They want to see and they will be attracted to what is unique and different about you. And that is your unique identity, right? I figured out my identity. I figured it out along this journey, this spiritual journey, this personal growth journey. Like, I have discovered my identity. So I show up with my true identity in every single situation, whether it's social media, whether it's my kids' baseball game, whether it's a meeting like this, I'm showing up in my true identity, and that allows me to serve other people. That is the secret to success. So some questions that you can ask yourself to kind of discover, because sometimes you're like, I'm not unique. I got nothing. I don't know if I have anything unique to offer. You do. I promise you do. What do people naturally come to you for? What do people like just always like call you and ask you advice on, right? Can you think of like things like that? Write those things down. What have you learned or discovered or researched? I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours learning about like the blood sugar effect on your body. Why? I don't know why. I don't know why it fascinates me so much, but it just does. I am qualified. I am now qualified to talk about it and teach about it because I have learned and discovered and researched this topic. You might not geek out on the blood sugar connection to dementia and like the dorky stuff that I like. That's fine. But what do you love to talk about? What do you love to hear about? Like, what do you love to focus on? Is it fashion, right? Like, is it your colors? Is it, like, I don't know what it is. But whatever that is for you, that is what you are qualified to talk about because you're passionate about it. So this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. So many people are born an original and die a duplicate. Nona Jones. Don't be a blue person and die a duplicate. Figure out what is unique about you and stay original. Like, do you think that people really want like a duplicate of the Mona Lisa and like famous paintings? People don't want duplicates of antique pieces of furniture. They don't want duplicates of things. They want the original, right? Stay original. That is your superpower. Okay. So we're going to just talk about like a few do's and don'ts, and this is basic knowledge. So I'm going to run through this. Please give away information for free. When you give away information for free, you gain credibility, you gain trust. People know that you're not just looking to make money off of them with every single thing that you do. Please give away information for free. People will love you so much more for that. Look at the camera, not yourself. Okay, listen, this is a pet peeve of mine. And if I see you recording a video or posting a video and you're looking at yourself and not the camera, I'm going to DM you, okay? Just know. Have you ever been to the hairstylist and they're doing your hair and you're asking them a question and they're answering you, but they're looking at themselves in the mirror while they're answering? And they're like talking, but they're looking at themselves in the mirror? That's the equivalent. And you're like, eyes are down here, lady, right? Like, hey, look in my eyes. That is the equivalent to looking at yourself on camera versus looking at the camera. Make people feel connected to you. Make them feel like you're making eye contact with them. Another big pet peeve of mine, I'm sorry, but stop saying you guys. Don't say, hey, you guys, I'm really excited about doing this. It's not you guys. If I'm talking to you. I am talking to you. I am talking to you. I am making eye contact with you, and we are having a conversation, right? When you say, oh my gosh, I found the most amazing mascara, and I cannot wait to tell you about it. Or if I say, hey, you guys, this is so awesome, it makes you feel like just one in a crowd and not personalized at all. These are very little tiny things that you can do that will immediately make your audience feel connected to you as a person. Use good lighting. Listen, I can't. There's no excuse for bad lighting anymore. There's no excuse for it. That's all I'm gonna say. Buy yourself a ring light for $20 on Amazon, you'll be fine. Do not be a Monat commercial. If you are a Monat commercial, people will look elsewhere. They're not going to continue to follow you. They're not gonna, right. Sorry, is it okay? Okay. You have to, there's more to your life and there's more to you than just Monat. Every single person here has a family, has a background, has a history, has a story to tell before Monat entered your life. Monat started 8.5 or 9 years ago or whatever. Everybody in this room is bigger than 9 years old, except for that cute baby that I keep holding. That's 5 weeks old. But like everybody else with a brain, talk about what makes you unique other than Monat. Bring those things into the story. Do not further your agenda with every single video that you do. This is not about you growing your business. This is, again, about giving information away for free. Don't talk too long, and I'm not going to talk about pillars because you can figure out your pillars on your own. You want 3 to 5. I really think 3 is a good number. Find your pillars and start to build a foundation there. Stay within your 3 pillars until you really start to grow an audience and start to develop trust and develop a following. Just stay there, because if somebody comes to your page and it's just a smattering of different things, they're not going to stick around, okay? So how do you measure your efforts? So you're going to go home and you're going to get the courage to post something. And you're going to do a reel, or you're going to do whatever. Maybe you're like, okay, what do I know? Who do I know? I'm going to do this. And you do something and you're really, really proud. And then you post it. And you're going to be faced with 2 choices. Are you going to compare that to everybody else that is further along? Are you going to compare that to somebody with 200,000 or 2 million followers and who's a professional makeup artist and knows how to do all the things? Because if you do that, I promise you're going to feel like crap about yourself every single time. You're going to feel like you failed. You're going to feel like a country bumpkin. You're going to feel like, what do I know? I shouldn't do this, right? Like, you are going to feel less than every single time. What I want you to do instead is I want you to compare what you've done today to where you were 5 years ago when you had 13 followers and you had never posted anything before. I want you to compare how much you have grown as a person. I want you to compare where you are today versus where you were when you started. Would every single person in this room, I want to see a show of hands if you feel like you've improved at something on some level in the past 5 years of your life. Every single person, I don't care if it's parenting, I don't care what it is, you have improved. So if you're talking about parenting, compare yourself as a parent now to where you were 5 years ago and how much more gentle and loving you are with your kids or whatever it is, right? Compare yourself to yourself. Do not fall into the pit of comparing yourself to other people. There's a great book. Every single person in this room needs to read it if you haven't yet, and it's called The Gap in the Game. And it's by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. They wrote it together. It is the most genius book that I maybe have ever read. Derek said I say that about every single book I read, but this one is like really that good. It is phenomenal, and it really talks about this, and it talks about even how to do this and help your kids in comparing not themselves with other people, but with where they were and how much they've improved at whatever thing it is in your life. And so as you kind of start to have that temptation to look around, you got to stop yourself, and you have to think about the gains that you've made personally instead. So That's it. That's it, but we're gonna jump now into a Q&A, I think. Chuck? Yeah.